Okay, Ray. Well, perhaps you could start off by telling me about your parents and when you were born in Winslow and where.
I was born in Winslow 1926, down at the Shipton end of Winslow. My parents were Charles Phillips and Rose Phillips. My father, when he came back from the First World War, which was only 8 years before I was born, housing was very tight, and he got himself a job as a farm worker down at the Rand's farm. And of course with the farm worker's position came a house, and that's where we lived for quite a while. I can well remember it, but it had no toilet facilities, only something right at the top of the garden, no water, no electricity. Today people would never live in such conditions. And it went on for quite a while there, and then it was finally demolished, and somebody built a bungalow on the actual, but the old pump is still there from where we got our water.
So when did your father actually move into that house, do you think?
I would think it would have been about 1918, just after 1918, when he came out of he was 4 years in the Great War as an ambulance driver. Horses, of course.
And were your parents already married, or did they marry after the war?
I think they were married. I'm not absolutely sure about that. I would guess that they were married, because we were, I'm a member of quite a large family. I had 6 brothers and two sisters, and all of us were in the army. All 6 of us were in the army. Excuse me. So my mother did her part to the war effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Was your mother, were your parents local?
My father was born in Winslow, I beg your pardon, in Adstock, and my mother was born in Winslow. Her father, like my grandfather, he was a postman, and in those days a postman was sort of looked up to as, you know, a real top job. Terry Foley had a photograph of them all outside the old post office, which was just on the entrance to the public hall, you know, the side entrance as we call it. And I still have my grandfather's long service medal, which was issued in the reign of Edward VII.
What was your grandfather's name?
That's a very good question again. I can't recall.
What was your mother's maiden name?
My mother's name was Warner.
Warner. And was your grandfather local?
I think he was. I think the family went back for quite a long way in Winslow. And I say my father was born in Adstock, in the little cottages right adjoining the pub there, in the public house there.
Next to the old thatch?
That's right. And then my grandfather and grandmother moved from there and lived down in what we call Tinker's End, down in the little cottages past the Devil in the Boot.
Right, yeah, near where Mr. Saving lived.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, there were about 4 of them lived along in the little cottages there. I well remember the little church that was there.
Oh, there was a church, was there?
Yeah, there was a little church. In fact, the steps are still there to the church, but no church.
Was it a little mission church? Or?
No, it was Church of England, and they used to hold services down there every Wednesday night. And I, would you believe, were in the choir at the time at the main church, and we used to be asked very nicely to be down there every Wednesday night to sing in the little choir down there. Yeah, it was quite. It was only attended by the people in that, but You see, Winslow in those days were only 1,500 population, and there were quite a little gathering down in the Tinker's End part. Down in Winslow here, down in Shipton, I beg your pardon, there were probably, I haven't got the exact numbers, but there must have been 30 lived down there. And I understand from, and Terry's had a word with me about this as well, I understand that originally it was called Shipton come Winslow.
Oh, right.
And then as Winslow grew, Winslow come Shipton it was in the end. I was thinking of one thing that was of great interest with the population then of 1,500, and we had 7 allotment fields in Winslow. You wouldn't be interested probably in where they were. The nearest one was over here on this corner where they're now thinking of building houses.
Between Shipton and Winslow.
That's right, the one that goes between the Little Horde Road and the...
Yeah.
Yeah, there were 7 quite, used to flourish quite, everybody, you'd see them going up with their trucks. And
where were the others?
I'll go from this end. The one there was one down the Verney Road called Van Damon's. There was one just down the bottom end of the Avenue Road where houses are now built on. There was one up at the Piccadilly. Another one at the back of the Buckingham Road houses, almost at the back of Terry's house. And the other one was the Porthpeace allotment up there. And I've missed one. There was another one down here. As you swing round, do you know the Ghibli cottages down here? As you go down the hill from the old school, and then you sweep round, the Swanman Road goes, and just as you sweep round on the Aylesbury Road, there used to be an allotment there for the Shipton people.
Amazing, isn't it? Shows what a rural area it is, and people need to.
Oh my goodness! In my school, when I left the old house there, because they built some council houses in the Western Lane and Burley's Road. I beg your pardon, there were already 12 council houses on the Western Lane, and they built 6 up in the Burley's Road. And because of the conditions, I suppose, we got down there, they moved it up. And I mean, to suddenly be able to switch on electricity, what would I have been, about 8 years old? The only thing that was a bigger bind for me is whilst I was at Winslow, I was at the little school up on the top here, which was quite near. And I could ride down there, it was a long way to come. And there were only, I've discussed this with Terry, and I think at the time, I'm right in saying there were only 6 cars in Winslow, owned cars, in my youth. One was the Dr. Leapingwell. One was the Countess of Latham, they had a car, the one down on there. I'm not quite sure who the other were. I know there were only 4 in the town. You could wander about. We used to play football on the market square. There were no parking there because there were no cars to park. What else do you need?